when we look more closely at the cabal of darkness, we can see that they have arrived where they are now, not as the result of what has been achieved in a single generation, but instead what has been accomplished over many generations, spanning thousands of years. They have been on this continuous march through time, each generation furthering the mission, such that when it culminates, they themselves will not be alive to witness this ultimate achievement. And yet, even so, they still dedicate their will, their resources, their time and energy to march it forward. Why is this? Why would they give themselves, heart and soul, to achieve a mission which will be accomplished long after their passing? Is it because Hi, I'm Muzz iEvolv. Thank you very much for being here to give your time and energy to another one of my channeling sessions. There's so many options on YouTube, but you're here, and so I really appreciate that. Please like, subscribe, comment, share now, because it helps me out so much with what I do here. I have created a membership site, so now that you can donate in a way, but it's not actually a donation because you're getting something in return. The membership site has 3 levels. Level 1, you get the transcripts of every video, every channeling I've done in the past and future. Level 2, you get the transcripts and the audio. And 3, you get transcripts, audio, and you get the video of every channeling I've done in the past and every one that I'm going to do in the future. And the most expensive of those 3 options is still less than 2 quarters per day. So that's a great way that we can help each other, and I can continue to be here week after week for you for free. The 3 Awakenings That Save Humanity. This is the book I co-wrote with my guides, and week after week, I get more comments from people who read this and say that it transformed, revolutionized their concept of themselves, their world, how everything's connected, and in particular in the way that they live their lives. So, this is available in paperback, audio, and ebook versions. And the link for that is below. It's time that you get your copy and go through this if you haven't already. If you'd like to do a private channeling session, then all you need to do is go below and you'll see a link which goes to the private channeling inquiry form. You fill out that form and that just begins a conversation, so it doesn't obligate you to anything. And on to today's question. Why has the cabal of darkness been so successful? Greetings and thank you for the question. Why has the cabal of darkness been so successful? We have posed this question today because when it is thoroughly understood how the cabal of darkness has been so successful, then those same principles can be applied to the way that you and the rest of humanity that are aligning to the light can utilize the light, find power in the light to balance the looming of the darkness and to create a significant shift in the reality of your planet and civilization. Let us begin in this way. The cabal of darkness. If you are not familiar with our prior channeling sessions, or you have not yet read our co-authored book, then let us briefly define what is the cabal of darkness. There are those on your planet, part of the human environment, that have made the choice to align themselves with the darkness end of the spiritual spectrum. And the spiritual spectrum is the binary. On one end is the darkness, on the other end is the light. And the common state of humanity is to be in a blended way where they are partially of the darkness and partially of the light. And this can be observed in the attitudes of regular people, including yourself. So there are some who would say, I love those people, but I hate those people, just as an example. And this is a dichotomous state. This is being partially of the light and of the darkness, because to hate is from the darkness end of the spectrum. And of course, to love is from the lightness end of the spectrum. The truth is, you are a being of the light and nothing but the light, because you have arisen from the One, your Creator, God. And God, in the lexicon of human emotion, is love. The spectrum of the light has love at its highest position, but the entry into the light is gratitude. And then gratitude begets peace. Then peace begets happiness, joy, bliss, love. So, these are the choices that one can make in the human experience. And there are those that have made this choice philosophical. So, it is not that they just happen to be dark beings and inclined in this way, but they have literally made a philosophical choice to follow the path of darkness. And they have done this because through this philosophical choice, they are made powerful and they are able to achieve their objectives. So, this is a very old choice. And it could be said that over many thousands of years, it has become a very intense and practiced religion, the religion of the darkness. And it has many names, such as Luciferianism, Satanism, Baalism, and so on. And there are beings now, humans, that have made this choice many generations ago, and it has been passed on from generation to generation as a dynasty. And there are enough of them that are unified in their benevolence. They work towards the same agenda. And this agenda may be slightly varied, as in there are some within this cabal who are vying for the top, that they will be the ones that achieve the top position. But nonetheless, they are unified in their desire to oppress humanity, to snuff out the light, such that they can reign supreme, invigorated, empowered by the darkness. And collectively, we refer to them as the cabal of darkness. When you look about your society now, it is clear that this cabal of darkness have become quite powerful, and they control much of the human experience. They control the major industries, they control government, they control education, media, the judicial system, medicine, and as such, they are oppressing and constricting humanity's awakening as much as they can. And they are at the point now where they are very close to taking absolute and total dominion over the earth human experience, where they will be in control of everything, including every individual human being, which is outside of their secret cabal. In number, they are very small. They are but a few thousand at the top of the power structure. And at the very point of this apex, there is but a handful who control it all. So it is remarkable what they have been able to accomplish, where there is this small number of nefarious, dark-willed individuals that have taken such comprehensive control of your planet, of its resources, of the culture, of all facets of humanity. How is this so? If this can be understood, then those same principles which have brought them this degree of success can be utilized to bring the light to its own levels of unprecedented success. So, when we look more closely at the cabal of darkness, we can see that they have arrived where they are now, not as the result of what has been achieved in a single generation, but instead what has been accomplished over many generations, spanning thousands of years. They have been on this continuous march through time, each generation furthering the mission, such that when it culminates, they themselves will not be alive to witness this ultimate achievement. And yet, even so, knowing that they will not be alive to witness it, they still dedicate their will, their resources, their time and energy to march it forward. So, why is this? Why would they give themselves heart and soul to achieve a mission which will be accomplished long after their passing? Is it because the cabal of darkness perceive what is the unfurlment of their agenda as a metaphysical war? They understand it is a war of energies, and on the spiritual spectrum, the two polarities, darkness and light. And they are using the darkness as their force to defeat the light. It is a metaphysical war. And they have used many strategies to strengthen themselves and then weaken the rest of you, those who are more inclined to be aligned to the light, those of you who are outside of this cabal of darkness. To call it a metaphysical war, where there it is the battle between the two polarities, this is the same as calling it a spiritual war. And it is so powerfully achieved by those that are within the cabal of darkness, wielding the darkness, because they worship the darkness. For them, the darkness is their God, it is their deity. And it has even been personified as Lucifer, as Satan, as Baal, and so on. And their faith, and this is the key element, is what makes them so powerful and so strong-willed that they are willing to give their lives to achieve something which will not culminate until they have passed. And yet still, they pass on the flame, receiving it from the generations before, carrying it through their lifetimes and passing on to the next generation, moving this agenda forward and forward and forward and forward. And of course, the ultimate culmination of this agenda is that they consolidate all wealth, power, and authority of the entire planet and the earth human experience, take ownership of all resources, including each individual human, and determine what all laws and rules and culture and way of being is. Fully, totally, comprehensively surveilled and observed and recorded, such that there is nothing which occurs which is outside of their vision and outside of their control. The good news is they have not yet accomplished this, but forwards and forwards and onwards they march. And they are so passionate and so strong-willed to achieve this because of their intense faith in the darkness, their God, their deity, that which they revere with utmost zealotry. They are religious zealots. And this is what has made them so capable to achieve the success they have so far. And they also understand that if those that are moving to the light were in possession of these same fundamental principles of faith, of worship, of strong will to achieve the extrapolations of the energy of their worship, then this would make the light a force which they would have to deal with in a way which is more confronting than it has been in the past. And this is why when you look at your culture, you'll see that the concept of faith in goodness, faith in a benevolent God, faith in the teachings of a Messiah who spoke in terms of love and forgiveness, and yet also courage and bravery, is deliberately dismantled and attacked and ridiculed by the popular culture. Because it is an intentional attack on the spirituality of the light. It is a metaphysical war. And so they are using all of the instruments of control and influence which they have infiltrated, usurped, taken ownership of, to ensure that the forces of light do not unify enough such that they start to develop a bondship of faith in the light, faith in your Creator, faith in the message of your Messiah, and faith also in the goodness that resides within yourself. And therefore, through recognition of this light within, the light that is in others also, the same light, the light of your Creator. But things are beginning to change. As the light becomes more aware of itself, then this means that each of you are starting to recognize the default and inherent goodness within yourself, and also within other individuations of this single being that you all form together, the humanity being. And the darkness, as it looms, it must eventually break the waterline. So for much of its history, the darkness has been in the shadows, it has been lurking below the surface, has been very shrouded in secrecy, furling out its agenda slowly with great subtlety and great skill. Yet, if they are going to claim total and utter dominion over the world, then eventually there must be a coming out. They must cross the threshold from secrecy into being visible to the rest of humanity. And they had a plan that when this transition was made, it would be at a time when there was no going back, when there was no way that they could be stopped in culminating this ultimate agenda of total and utter comprehensive dominion. But what they did not calculate with a sufficient degree of accuracy was the rate at which humanity would naturally, organically awaken. Because they are very intellectual in their orientation, because the darkness is a mind state. It is an energy of the intellect, whereas the light is an energy of your extra dimensionality. It is an energy which is related to the non-physical aspects of self. and it is drawn from your Creator. It does not require a high-level intellect to be powerful in the wisdom of the light. So this is a limitation of the darkness. The highest level intellect which they have access to is the limitation of how strategic and brilliant they can be in their strategy. And this is why they are so focused on the development of artificial intelligence. Whereas those who are moving to the light, who are aligned more so as beings of light rather than beings of darkness, they have access to an infinity of wisdom, which is in their extra dimensionality, their non-physical realm, which is the same as saying their God stuff. So, because of this very different ways of bringing truth and wisdom into your concept of reality, those that are around the darkness end of the spiritual spectrum, the cabal of darkness, they were not able to calculate and perceive this very default and organic growth of humanity outside of the identification with the avatar and into its extra-dimensional realms, its non-physical aspects, the infinity of wisdom which is available to it. And so this has manifested as, despite all of the methods of inculcation, indoctrination, of suppression, of oppression, of deceit and falsity, and deliberate misery and suffering and so on, which has been foisted on humanity by the darkness, which by their calculation should have been sufficient to dampen down humanity's awakening to such a degree that it never actually blossomed. But there is something occurring in humanity which is outside of the realm of what is occurring here in the 3D experience. And this is what is occurring in the extra dimensionality, in the God stuff, in the infinite non-physical. And it is coming to be regardless of what is occurring in this 3D experience, regardless of all of the efforts by the cabal of darkness to make sure that humanity never awakens, to make sure that humanity never realizes what it is, never has the three awakenings of reality awakening, identity awakening, and spiritual awakening. So, now what is occurring is humanity is waking up. It has been stifled, it has been slowed down, it is more of a struggle than it would be if it was allowed to happen just very naturally and organically without the impedance of the darkness, but it is happening nonetheless. And there is now is recognition, because the darkness has been forced to cross this threshold from secrecy into extroversion much earlier than they planned, because of this unprecedented and unexpected awakening of humanity. And this means that they are now being openly tyrannical when the possibility that they fail still exists. This is something that they never calculated, because recall that this has been a mission which has been passed on for many, many, many generations, spanning literally thousands of years. So it is extremely well planned and strategized. And it has been done using some of the highest intellects which have been available to the human experience. And yet even so, they have miscalculated because of this unexpected force bubbling in each of you individually and bring you all together unified around a principled value system inspired by the light. So, this crossing of the threshold into extroversion, by the darkness, being forced by this burgeoning blossoming of the light, has had the effect of accelerating the awakening of the light in each of you individually and bringing you close together as a unified force. Because many of you, you're beginning to recognize that there is something going on more than just a financial crisis, more than just an energy crisis, more than just a pandemic. Instead, it appears to be that there is an onslaught, a deliberate, calculated, coordinated attack. And this attack seems to make no sense other than in metaphysical terms. It seems to be there is a unified malevolence which is attacking the rest of humanity. That is evil at its essence and has a strong desire to snuff out and corrupt anything which is arising from the light, which is steeped in goodness. And with this recognition that there seems to be a metaphysical battle, and then making the decision that I choose a side, and the side that I choose is the side of light. I reject the darkness. I reject all of the ideas and principles and corruption of the darkness. And any ideas I used to entertain within myself, which were dark in their orientation, I now purge those as well. I no longer identify with the dark energy because I realize it is very evil in its intent, and its desire is to radically transform my life and the life of all those that I know and love, and will echo into the future for my descendants. So, I am stepping into the light. I am putting on the armor of God, as it is said, and I am going to make a stand, invigorated by love, compassion, caring, peace, gratitude, but also with forcefulness and courage and bravery, integrity, dignity, to ensure that what I can now perceive very clearly is righteous, survives, and is inherited by my children and their children and their children. So this moving into the light, coming together, making this recognition of the metaphysical war, choosing the spiritual polarity of the light. This is the beginning of the rebirth of faith. It is the beginning of the coming together to form a force of light which is very grassroots in its initiation, in its percolation, rather than the paradigm of religion which has preceded this time, which is that there are those at the top who have God's ear, and they determine what it is that God wishes for all of you, and then they pass down the rules, the dogma, the doctrine, and then it is up to you, the congregation, to follow those rules explicitly, whether you agree with them or not, whether they feel right or not. This is the old model of religion, and although in its origins it may have been benevolent, it is very open to corruption, because this is the preferred model of the cabal of darkness, to have a centralized authority which controls a larger population beneath it. So much of your popular religion, from an industrial, institutional perspective, have been corrupted. But what is occurring now is the formation of a new religion. But rather than calling it a religion, let us say it is a conception of the light and how to be faithful to it. And it is coming from the grassroots, because each of you are identifying the goodness within yourself and the goodness within each other, and realizing that it is becoming essential that you all come together to form a unified force which can turn towards the darkness and say, that is enough. You advance no more. And from this position of forthrightness, they can then begin the procedure of shining such an intensity into the light that all of the lies are exposed, that all of the nefarious agenda is laid open for the rest of the world to see, that all of the secrecy is put under a bright light of scrutiny, and the darkness is revealed for what it is: a metaphysical attack on all that is good, on all that is beautiful, on all that is loving. And through this process, the darkness will be dismantled, and the lesson that is taken from this experience will be incorporated into the human psyche, and never again shall it happen. And once this has been laid out and come to a state of adequate completion, this dismantling of the darkness, then humanity will be free to explode in its awakening, because all nefarious elements of suppression and diversion and corruption will have been removed. And then the very natural organic arc of humanity's awakening and spiritual advancement, which is the natural momentum of all of existence, will flourish and accelerate, and humanity will be shocked at what it becomes, will be amazed and in awe of the potential that was always locked within and had been sullied with these ideas that humanity is a virus, that humanity is a parasite, that humanity should be eradicated. Because of course, this has always been a projection of the darkness, because the darkness is parasitic by necessity, because they have shut themselves down. Those that have taken the philosophical pathway of darkness have shut down their connection to their Creator, because the connection with the Creator is imbued with the qualities of the Creator, which include love, compassion, caring, sympathy, consideration, forgiveness. But these qualities do not serve a dark agenda if your dark agenda requires you to victimize a subclass as you perceive them. If you are going to make their lives a misery and steal all of their wealth and impoverish them such that it elevates you further, this is going to be difficult to accomplish if you have love and compassion and sympathy and caring for those that you plan to exploit in this way. Therefore, this connection to your Creator must be shut down. But that energetic supplementation which comes through that connection is essential to survival. So, that energy must be harvested somewhere else. And the energy must be a quality which is compatible to the philosophical choice of following the pathway of darkness. Therefore, when they take dominion over a population, they farm that population. They deliberately engineer misery, suffering, confusion, hatred, anger, despondency, depression. And this population, when they have been inflicted in this way, emit a dark energy of these qualities, which can be harvested by those that are using darkness to further their agenda, that understand the power that is in darkness and using it to wage a metaphysical war. They are made more powerful. They are made more intense. The influence is spread when they use this strategy. And this is what is occurring on your planet. So, let us end in this way. Be aware that not all wars are physical wars. Not all wars involve actual military conquest. The war which is taking place in your experience is a war on the psyche, is a war on information, is a war on your resources, is a war on your children, is a metaphysical war. The darkness attacking all of the light, which has yet not been snuffed out within yourself and within those who form this resistance, this rebellious notion that the darkness shall not advance further. So, with this understanding, looking at the principles that the darkness has utilized to advance their agenda so far across many generations and thousands of years, passing on the flame generation after generation, you can see it is their zealotry for the darkness. It is their strong, intense will to achieve the desires of their deity, of their God. And in a single word, it is their faith. Utilize these same principles to form the army of the light. Be invigorated by the light. Perceive the light in yourself and in each of you individually. Have a faith that you are a being of goodness, that you are a being of righteousness. And of course, this is not just an intellectual identification. It means that you will begin living in this way. You will be a being which is very principled in its value system. And that will be based entirely on the qualities of the light. Being virtuous, acting with integrity, honesty, kindness, loving, peacefully, gratefully, and so on and so on. When you act in this way, and you treat all others from this same principled state, then this is a demonstration of your faith in the light. You believe in the light so much that you literally live every moment of your day, of your week, of your life in this manner. And those around you will begin to recognize the elevated vibration, the higher wisdom, the meaningful way with which you live. And they will begin to exemplify and emulate what it is that you do. And then through their influence, others will also begin to emulate this same principled way of living, of being a being that is so faithful in their belief of the light that they literally live each moment in this way. And when more and more of you begin to live like this, the force of light will become so magnificent, so powerful, that the darkness will not stand a chance. Because the darkness is a weak energy. It is a low vibratory tone. And the density of energy, of power within, is weak. And this is why those that will the darkness must be so zealous, must be so focused, must be so organized to achieve their objective, because the power they wield is not actually that powerful. And when the light within each of you begins to take shape and begins to form a unified coherency with a much less degree of zealotry, with a much less degree of will and faith, with a much less degree of wakefulness and coordination, the light will still be more than adequate to overcome the darkness, because the light, by definition, is much, much, much more powerful. And this now is coming very close to being. And those that wield the darkness recognize it is so. In the most recent gathering of elites in Davos, more than 50% that had RSVP'd as attending and paid the very exorbitant fee to be in attendance did not attend, because they can see the writing on the wall. They can see the rising of the light and this powerful emanation that is coming from this unified humanity, which is shining a penetrating light into the shadows to reveal all that they have been doing, all that they are doing, and all that they plan to do in the future. Many already recognize it is too late. Be a being of faith. Faith in yourself, in faith in the rest of humanity. Align yourself into the light. Be a being as much of the light in all that you do as you possibly can. And allow this to be your new religion. However, we hesitate to use the word religion because of the way that it has been utilized in your experience. So let us instead say this concept of your energetic constituency and your relationship to your own identity and all of the rest of humanity, and of course your Creator, who loves you with such an intensity that it literally individuated itself and gave part of itself to you so that you could exist as an individual entity, forever connected to the One, but having your own unique identity. This is how much the Creator loves you. So, be excited about what is occurring. When you perceive your reality, look at it through the lens that humanity is awakening. That the light is beginning to overwhelm the darkness. This metaphysical war, which has been waged for thousands of years, has now reached a point where the side of light have finished lacing up their boots and are now stepping on the field to play the game for real. And then we will all witness just how powerful the light is and just how weak the darkness has always been. Thank you, and we love you.